One of Donald Trump's staunchest allies while he was in office was Florida Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz, a man extremely eager to go on Fox News and fiercely defend the then president against all critics. Gaetz is still in Congress, but this morning Axios reported that he was eyeing early retirement to take a job at far-right media outlet Newsmax. Turns out, however, that there was a lot more going on. Late this afternoon, the New York Times broke the news that Gaetz is being investigated by the Justice Department over whether he had a sexual relationship with a 17-year-old and paid for her to travel with him, according to 3 people briefed on the matter. Gaetz told the Times he's a subject of the probe, but not the target. He's repeatedly known about the investigation for a while and told the Times that he and his lawyers have been in touch with the Justice Department, but claimed he only knew the investigation, quote, has to do with women, and that I have a suspicion that someone is trying to recategorize my generosity to ex-girlfriends as something more untoward. According to the Times, Gaetz is being investigated for potentially violating federal sex trafficking laws. He later told Axios that the charges are false and rooted in an extortion effort against his family, and that he was never involved with anyone who is underage, adding, I've definitely in my single days provided for women. I've dated, I've paid for flights, for hotel rooms. I've been, generous as a partner. I think someone is trying to make that look criminal when it is not. Gaetz also tweeted that the extortion attempt involved a former DOJ official seeking $25 million while threatening to smear my name, and that his father has even been wearing a wire at the FBI's direction to catch these criminals. For more on what's going on here, I want to turn to one of the reporters who broke this story, New York Times Washington correspondent Michael Schmidt. Michael, thanks so much for joining me on the show tonight. I appreciate it. Tell us more about what exactly Gaetz is being investigated for and this whole distinction between target and subject.
So Gaetz is being looked at because under federal law, you cannot have a sexual relationship with someone under the age of 18 and transport them over state lines and pay for them, to move with you for that sexual act. And that is one of the questions that the authorities are examining. Gaetz tried to make the distinction when we spoke to him, as you pointed out, between a subject and a target. And as I think serves as a great example of this, Hillary Clinton in the Hillary Clinton email investigation was never a target. The entire investigation was about whether Hillary Clinton broke the law. It was actually so much about that the FBI director took the extraordinary move of holding a press conference to talk about what they found and laid that out. So the distinction between a target and a subject in that example is certainly, clearly shows that it doesn't really mean a lot. So in this case, his conduct is being scrutinized, it's being looked at, it's being investigated, and obviously, this is something that started under Attorney General Barr, which perhaps shows the merits of what they're looking at.
Yeah, it's, the obvious response would be to say, this is a witch hunt by the Biden DOJ, but it's not. It started under Bill Barr,
it's coming.
That well-known liberal Democrat. They don't like Bill Barr anymore anyway, so let's see. How far along is this investigation, Michael, and how long has Matt Gaetz known about it? Do we know?
So it's unclear how long Gaetz has known about it, and it's unclear how far it goes back. What we do know is that it is an outgrowth. It is part of an investigation of a local tax collector in Seminole County, Florida. This is right outside of Orlando, and the feds have been looking at this tax collector who rode the Trump wave, got elected in 2016, and has been investigated, and the feds have uncovered an array of corruption on his behalf. It is in the course of that investigation that the authorities went in and executed search warrants and found some of the evidence that has led them to this Gaetz investigation. So this is something that started as something that was focused on this tax collector, and it has grown into something far bigger, with obviously far bigger political implications than a local tax collector.
Oh, big time. But what is this we're now hearing this evening from Gaetz himself about an alleged extortion plot?
Yeah, so this is what he laid this out to us on the phone today. At first, I didn't follow all the intricacies of it, and I was trying to understand what he was saying. We acknowledge, that he makes this claim in our story. He has now put out these tweets about it. maybe, he feels this is an extraordinary thing that's going on. So he has disclosed the fact that his father was wearing a wire. That's usually something that's not disclosed by people that have been wearing a wire. But maybe in this case, he feels the need to lay that out. But it certainly, that is what he is saying. That is his argument. He's also saying that he didn't have sexual relations with women under the age of 18. He's provided that example, that explanation that you had earlier about how there are, things that he may have paid for, but that, he did not do this. And, it sort of remains to be seen where it heads from here.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.